Hey everyone, welcome back to busyprogrammer.com. This is Tanvir, and in today's video we will learn about Constraint Layout and how to use it in Jetpack Compose. So if you are familiar with Android XML based view system, you have probably heard about Constraint Layout. In case you haven't used it before, don't worry, because I will get you covered in today's video. So what is a Constraint Layout? Well, it's a powerful layout system that allows you to create complex UIs by defining constraints between your UI elements. You can think it as a way to specify the relationship between components such as buttons, text fields, or images. It is a layout that allows you to place composables relative to other composables on your screen. It is an alternative to using multiple nested row, column, box, and custom layout elements. Constraint layout can be useful when implementing larger layouts with more complicated alignment requirements. In XML-based view system, it is highly recommended to use Constraint Layout to improve performance and efficiency of the UI by maintaining a flat hierarchy. Well, this is simply not the case for Jetpack Compose, because Jetpack Compose based view system can have multiple hierarchy of rows and columns without impacting the performance of the UI. So, why using Constraint Layout in Compose then? Well, there are a couple of reasons. Constraint Layout makes it easy to create responsive design that adapt to different screen sizes and orientations. It is perfect for complex UIs with nested views and multiple elements. It can simplify your code and make it easier to maintain. So now we know that the advantages of Constraint Layout. Let's jump back to our today's video. We will see an example of an UI, and we will learn how to use Constraint Layout instead of rows and columns in Compose. So as you see in my screen, I have a couple of elements here. So I have a back button, I have a more icon. So I will create a chain of constraint here. I have a title, I have number of followers and the follower text. Same for the following. I also have a image on the right side. So I will create a barrier on the right side from the left side text here. So I will explain what is barrier, what is chain, and you can see that I have a guideline here. So around at the 50% of the screen there is a guideline. After that there is the text my services, and I also have a chain of icons and the text for each of the icon at its below. So in today we will learn how to create this UI in Constraint Layout. So let's start. So this is our example UI, and this is what we want to achieve. Before starting, we need to add dependency in our Gradle file, since it doesn't come by default when you will create an empty compose activity. So you have to add the Constraint Layout compose dependency manually. Now we will create a Kotlin file where we will write our new compose function to create this UI using Constraint Layout. So I'm naming this file as Constraint Layout screen. So here we will first create references for each of the items. So we are taking Constraint Layout compose function. Inside here I'm creating a modifier. Okay. And I'm giving it a background of material theme color dot surface dot fill max size. Now we will create references for each of the icons and items, each of the UI elements in the screen. So how can we do that? So it's quite easy in Constraint Layout. So we have to name each of the items, the name that we want to give it, and after that we will write create ref. If it's a multiple items, then it will be create refs. So I'm naming back icon, more icon, greeting message, follower, following, profile image. Follower text is the text below of the followers number, and same for the following. So the number of following people and the text following just below of it, and we will write create refs. If you see, this create refs can have 16 references inside that. If there are more than 16 numbers of references we require, in that case we have to create another reference. Now we will create a guideline. So what is a guideline? Well, it's a virtual line in constraint layout, a small visual helpers to design layout with. This is useful for positioning elements at a certain dp or percentage inside the parent composable. There are two kinds of guidelines. It can be vertical or horizontal. In our case, we are creating a horizontal guideline with 0.4f. It means it will be from the 40% from top. So somewhere in the middle of the screen, 40% from the top. We are creating two more guidelines here, as you see. One is top guideline. So here we are using dp. So it's a guideline that will be 16 dp from the top, and another guideline which will be 16 dp from the left side. Okay. So now our guideline is ready. Now we will create a chain. So what is a chain? Well, chain is a group. It provides group-like behavior in a single axis, either horizontally or vertically. In our case, we are creating horizontal chain for our back icon and more icon. And inside chain, we can also specify the chain style. We have given spread inside here. Now we are just creating an image composable to position our back icon. Here we will write modifier dot constraint as. So this constraint add as will take the reference that we created initially. Okay, so we are telling that, hey, this is the back icon that we have created references before, and now I want to constraint it. So here we can write top dot link to. So the top of this will be linking to the top guideline, which is 16 dp from the top. So we will get a 16 dp of space from the top. We are also adding a padding here from the start, which is of 16 dp. And we are also giving that back icon a size of 24 dp. Okay. Instead of padding, we can also use the guideline to constraint our back icon from the left. So now we will create another icon, which is our more icon, and here we will write more icon inside constraint as, so that our constraint layout understands this is the more icon and where we have to position it. So inside of the constraint as you see, we have a scope where we can define our position of the constraint. So we are also creating another guideline, which is an end guideline, which is 16 dp from the right side for this more icon. Okay. So as you see, our top portion is ready. Now we will come back to the title, which is welcome Alex. And we have another two more text below of that. One is the following and one is the followers. Not two, actually four text. So before going to that, we will create a barrier. So what is a barrier? So barrier reference multiple composables to create virtual guidelines to create a barrier based on the most extreme widget on the specified side. So in our case, we have an image and we do not want that the text will overflow to that image. So which is why we are creating a barrier. And inside barrier, since we are creating an end barrier in this case, we will take all of our text so that it doesn't collide with the profile image. There can be also bottom barrier and start barrier. You can also explore those when you will practice this. So we have created our title. Now we will create a text compose function. Not function, sorry, a text composable here, and we are giving it a font size. We also want it to be bold, so we just give the font width. We will also specify the color and modifier. Just remember, inside the modifier we have to write this function constraint as, so that the constraint layout understands that where we have to position this composable. This is important. So once we write constraint as, it will allow us to create a positioning code by top.link to, bottom.link to, or start.link to. We can use whatever is required in our case. So here we wrote top.link to backicon.bottom. So we want this text to be in below of the back icon. So which is why we write backicon.bottom. And we want the starting position, I mean the left position, to the start guideline, which is 16 dp from the left side. So I hope this is understandable. Now let's create that 21k, the number of followers. And inside the link to function we can also define the margin if we want. Hence we have a little bit spacing in the top between the back icon and the title, so we are adding a 50 dp of margin here. And we also specify the end here, so the end will be follower text.end. So we haven't defined the follower text yet. We will define it right now. So this is our follower text that we just write, and it will be of gray color. Just see the constraint here. It will be underneath the bottom of the follower, number of follower, which is follower.bottom. Starting position will be greeting.start, greeting message.start. So it will align the greeting message from the left side. Let's copy and paste quickly. We will create the following number and following text now. So in case of following numbers, notice that it should be underneath the greeting message, just like the follower number. And the starting position will be, I think it can be either from, I think we do not need the starting position here. It's up to you, like how you want to arrange it. So I'm aligning it to the end and giving a margin from the end in this case. So before starting, the end of that following text will be before starting the profile image, and for the following text it will be underneath of the following number. Okay, and end.link to should be fine. Now we will create the image, the profile image, the big image that you can see on the right portion. Let's create the modifier.constraint as, where inside the constraint as we will write profile image and open parenthesis. Here we'll write top.link to more icon.bottom, which means the image will be underneath of the more icon. The starting should be follow the barrier that we created. So starting position.link to greeting barrier. We can also define end as more I can end in this case. Notice that here we can also add width and height inside the scope, and we can also define parent. So if we want to align something with parent, we can write parent.start or bottom, whatever we need. As you see, our image is still not visible, so let me check it. Okay, I think now it's visible. So if you see that the following numbers and the text is not aligning properly, let's make it similar to the left portion, follower number and follower text. Okay. We want to give some padding on the right side of the following number, so let's do that. As you see in the original screen, there should be some padding on the right side, so we will just do that now. We are giving some margin on the title welcome Alex so that we can get some spacing, and we have to fix our padding here. Let's see now. Now we have the right portion of padding. Okay, now let's design the card view, the bottom portion of the screen. We do not want the follower and following text to be bold, so I just remove the font weight. So now let's design this my service text and the 6 icons with the text. We are creating a card, composable. Here we will take modifier.constraint as. Let me give it a rounded corner shape on the top start and the top end. Also, notice that the elevation is 8 dp in my case. Okay, so we will write bottom. What is the name we defined? I think it's bottom sheet card. We haven't defined it yet, so let's write it. We have to create a reference for that. We have to basically create reference for each of the UI elements for Constraint Layout. Let me also write the reference for service text, consultation icon, consultation text should be there also. Notice that we cannot create more than 16 references here. So we are creating Android icon, Android text, iOS icon, iOS text, then Flutter icon, Flutter text. See, now we are getting error because it's crossed the threshold 16. So we're creating another reference here. We are writing Flutter icon, Flutter text, React Native icon, React Native text, web icon and web text. Notice we also have 2 buttons at the below, which is follow me and hire me. We also need to create 2 more references for that. So we are writing follow me button and hire me button. Create refs. So that should do the work. Now let's go get back to the card constraint. So we will define our constraint here. So the top should be linked to the horizontal center guideline. The guideline, if you remember, we created 40% from the top, that one. We are defining the start.link to with the parent. It should match the parent. The end should also match the parent so that it can get centered from the starting and end position. And it also should be centered from bottom position actually. So it will get centered in the screen like that. We are also defining the width and the height. Now let's create a chain for the three icons, the consultation, Android and iOS icons. We are basically creating a horizontal chain for that. Okay. So first we will create the my service text, then we will get back to the three icons. So we just copy and paste the text composable so that we can make the text quicker. So constraint as should be service text. In this case, we are referencing the service text here, and the top should be linked to, I think the guideline should be, yep. Or we can also mention the bottom sheet card dot top, and we will give it a margin of 16 dp from the bottom sheet, top of the bottom sheet card. Start can follow the parent, end can also follow the parent. So it will be centered. I think that's it. Now we have the service text. Okay. Now let's create the icons, the three images in the first row. The first image is a consultation icon. So we will now add the modifier and write constraint as consultation icon. Let's now define the constraint here. So the top should link to our service text dot bottom. Let me copy and paste the other three icons as well so that we can do it right away. So we have Android icon and also iOS icon. Top should link to consultation icon dot top. Apple. Okay, so our three icons are ready. Our positioning the constraint is also ready, I think. Let me define the bottom here. And now I'm also giving a fixed size for each of them of 50 dp. Yeah, as you see in my screen, they have aligned properly. So now we will create the text below of each of the icon. Now let me also create a chain style here, and it should be change.spread. As you see in my screen, we have successfully created the chain between the three icons. Now let's create three of the text view respectively for consultation, Android and iOS. So this is consultation. Okay. Consultation text. Top should link to consultation icon. the top. Actually it should be bottom. I will fix that when I will get back to that. Let me fix that Android and iOS text. Let me rebuild the UI. So as you see, it's not aligned properly. It's because I have to, for the since we are referencing consultation text and icon, so for the consultation text it should be underneath of the consultation button, not top. Okay, now let me render the build UI again. Now let's see. Yeah, now it's aligned perfectly. Now let's create another 3 icons and text respectively. I will again create a horizontal chain for Flutter icon, React Native icon and web icon, and the chain style should be spread. Okay, I have copied and pasted the code because it will be similar, just it's in the second row. Let me fix also the margin. Red text dot bottom. Okay. All right. Now let me correct the text. It should be reference to Flutter text in this case. And also let me correct the constraints for this text. React Native now. React Native text for the reference. And it should be below of the React Native icon, of course. And web icon at bottom for the web text. Yeah, now let me rebuild the UI and see how it looks now. Yeah, as you see, the alignment is not quite right because the margin is not correct. The text alignments are okay, but the margin is not correct. So let me fix that. Yes, we have to add the margin of 16 dp for each of the cases. Let me rebuild the UI again. Yeah, now as you see, it's perfectly aligned. I think we also need a padding between the icon and the text. So in the text, we also need to add the padding. Okay. Yeah, now it's perfectly aligned. Now we have to create 2 buttons, just like this screen. So let's start. For that, we can create another guideline. We can specify like around 30% from the bottom. So create guideline from bottom and we give it 30%. So it will be 30% from the bottom. And we are also creating a chain between these two buttons, and the chain style is spread. Okay, let's create the hire me and follow me button. For now we are not implementing the on click of this. Now let me adjust the colors. It should be gray. Let me define it in the color.kotlin file. Okay. And in the modifier we will write follow me button. And the top should be linked to the guideline that we just created. That's it. Now inside the row scope we will have to create an image because the plus icon, so we have to create a image for that. Okay. We will make some spacing between the image and the text of the button, just creating a spacer and the text composable. The text should be follow me. Yeah. Okay. So now similarly we will create another button for hire me. In this case we do not have any image, so I will remove the image from here, only the text hire me. Okay, the constraint as should be hire me button. Okay, that should be it. Let's run it and also rebuild the UI. Yeah, as you see in my screen, it's perfectly aligned and it's 13% from the bottom. So layout, there is a thing called Decoupled API. So if you can see my screen, I have 3 text: welcome, number of followers, and on the right side we have images. So what is the Decoupled API? We might want to change the constraint based on screen configuration and animate between 2 constraint sets. So in that case, constraint Decoupled API will be useful. So we will now we will understand how the constraint set works. So we can pass the constraint set in the as a parameter in constraint layout, and we can also assign references created in constraint set to composables using layout ID. So this process is called Decoupled API. So now let's create the example that we just saw on the screen. So we will have 3 text and 1 image. So here we will write constraint keyword. So it will give us a scope, constraint scope. Let me give it some width and height. And we can also give the constraint just like before. Starting point should be parent.end with a 5 dp of margin, and then is parent.end with 5 dp of margin. Follower text will be underneath of the following text, so it should be the starting it should be okay. It should be top dot link to welcome text dot bottom. It will be below of the welcome text with a 5 dp of margin. And for the follower text will be below of follower number. The image will be right side, so starting position should be follower text dot end. Yeah, that will work. Okay, now let's create the constraint layout, and we'll pass the constraint set that we created inside the constraint layout. In the modifier we are giving field max size. Now let's create the text composables and the image. Here we will write layout.id to specify that, hey, this is the ID for the welcome text. the follower numbers and the follower text. It should be follower, not following. Yep. And the image. We will write modifier.layout ID and the image. Let me rebuild the UI. Okay, now we have to add it as a preview. First we have to add the compose function as a preview. Let me rebuild the UI. As you see, we have achieved what we were looking for, but the follower text is not in the correct position. Let me correct it. It should be parent follower.start should also work. Yes. Yeah. Now as you see, we have achieved what we were looking for. So like that you can create ConstraintSet. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.